Previously on Danominator.
Without further ado, let's go! Hello everybody, my name is Danominator, and we just got a really good Nintendo Direct. Holy cow, I have no idea where to start with this.
Wow.
For those of you who don't know, a Nintendo Direct just dropped today, and there is a lot to talk about. So I'm going to go through everything. I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet so that we get through everything in a good amount of time. But there's a couple things I really want to analyze because this was a big one, and I've had this stupid smile on my face ever since I got back here. There's been a lot to talk about lately. March has been the month of announcements. We've got video game announcements, TV announcements, movie announcements. Disney has been killing it lately. There's just so much going on right now, and I have a lot to talk about. So I was kind of trying to hold it off, get some stuff done, but then this drops today, and I thought it was going to be a very small couple pieces of news. We were told that we were getting a 30-minute Nintendo Direct with some Nintendo Switch and Nintendo 3DS news, and then a bit of a spotlight on Mario Tennis Aces for the Switch. But I had no idea how much else we were getting. It's crazy how much that they packed into 30 minutes. So let's see how much analysis and discussioning that we can fit into the next few minutes here. I gotta put on my Mario hat. I'm just a little too excited. Are we straight? Are we looking good? Okay, let's go. We're gonna start with the Switch stuff. I don't have a Switch yet. It's a sad thing to say, but that's where I am, and these announcements are exciting nonetheless. There is one Switch announcement I'll save until the end because I want to give it a lot of time. So let's just start from the beginning here. Let's see, we got some Splatoon 2 updates. I am liking some of these. A lot of Octoling stuff, surprisingly enough. We've got the Octolings apparently in Agent 8. Agent 8, because Octo is there's 8. Puns! I love them. This was one of the last Switch announcements to be made, but it holds a lot of significance to me because a couple of my friends own Splatoon 2 and they have loved it, but one of the things I hear circulating around the internet and among my friends is, why can't we play as Octolings? They hold such a great significance. They play very similarly to Inklings, it seems, at least regarding how you fight them in Splatoon, but this expansion pack is huge for these people. Like one of my friends, he was watching this, or I was watching it first, and then I started just seeing what was going on here, and then the moment happens. We're seeing this new story mode that's apparently going to feature all of the Splatoon 1 and 2 cast. Scuttlefish is there, the new Squid Sisters, essentially, Pearl and Marina are there. Bunch of just random Splatoon characters are in the background, and this Octoling is in the center of it. And right about when we get to this point, I start saying, hey, you might want to look at this. And I explained it's a Splatoon 2 update, and he says, well, okay, so why don't they let us play as Octolings? And I said, open it now! Open it now! And that is when we started seeing these matches with Octolings in them. And this is crazy stuff. I cannot believe it. I don't own Splatoon myself, but I have invested a bit in the story and how it plays, and I'm already a fan. I really want to get this game sometime. I can see this being a very big deal, especially for Switch owners of Splatoon. There's a bunch of new costumes coming, 100 plus. Gosh, they're going all crazy with this. Looks like it's going to be a very great update. The expansion pack is $20, which seems like quite a bit, but the trailer, I imagine, is going to have a lot of people hooked. I take no shame in that pun. And it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I implore you guys, take a look at it. You will not be disappointed. The trailer, especially, which features a new piece of music, It's very dramatic, very slow, but it also is very powerful in its own way. I was immediately hooked on it. I used the same pun twice. Still no shame. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. Now this caught me by surprise. After the 3DS headlines ended, I wasn't sure if they were being serious about that, or if we were getting some kind of tie-in or some other random little piece of info about the system, because as Nintendo has recently revealed, the 3DS is going to hold a lot of relevance because they've realized that both the 3DS and the Switch can coexist very well, and they have so far. It's really good to see that my favorite console is still going to be relevant for a while. That said, Captain Toad is coming to both the Switch and the 3DS, and that caught me off guard entirely. I thought that that was a once-and-done thing. Probably the most exciting news to hear about this is that both of these versions, I believe, will be getting Odyssey content. We're going to be getting a couple of little new Donk City stages. I think that was my favorite. It looked great. It was just like a very condensed, tiny little city. So it kind of looks like you have a giant Captain Toad just running around like, I'm the best! My Toad impression is horrible, by the way. Now you know. The 3DS version is going to feature touch controls. Very curious for how this is going to play out. I'm interested. I am interested. Probably will pick this up at some point. I'm looking forward to the Odyssey stages and playing through this whole thing, because the fact that this is coming to the 3DS just lays one of the final nails in the Wii U's coffin. This thing is gone, man. It looks fun. I like this new style of gameplay. Definitely tell me in the comments if you've played it and if you like it or not, because I have very few impressions of the game. And we're going to have touch controls, 3D, which I'm hoping is going to be like legitimate, like they're not just gonna push the screen further in when you turn the slider up. Couple 3DS games are suffering from that. I've noticed more often lately. We had, very recently, Severed. It was an indie title, and it had 3D on the top screen if you wanted it, but it literally just pushed the screen further in, and it was very fake and held no depth besides a single layer. So I'm hoping Captain Toad doesn't cheap out like that. I don't think it will. But that's one of the things I look for in a 3DS game, is if they put 3D in it, do they really put it to good use? You'll be surprised how much I talk about that. We had a little bit of talk about Kirby Star Allies. We know that that's coming out next week. It looks fun, man. The ability to throw hearts at enemies and turn them into friends is amazing to me. And it just adds to this whole theory that Nintendo is just opening up their characters to creepy new stuff. Like, we got Mario capturing things. Now we're gonna have Kirby forcing people to be his friend, which I'm hearing tons of internet people saying, boy, I wish I could do that. Really? The game so far looks great. Couple people have complained about the demo being too basic, which, I don't know, it's almost like the demo is supposed to give you an idea of what the game is like and not give you the full experience. But I will say that Planet Robobot's demo got me really into the game, just with the use of the Robobot armor. And it seems like this demo is doing the same thing. I've seen some of it, basically letting you feature the gameplay, the standard gameplay, and also the friend ability gameplay, and just throwing hearts to make friends. That's a huge thing in Star Allies, and it looks fun. I can imagine a certain ant dude going crazy over this thing. ARMS is getting some more content. I didn't really know much about this. I never got invested into what ARMS was about, but looks like there's another global test punch going on pretty soon. That will be exciting for Switch users. I'm sure there's somebody that will let me test that out at some point. There's going to be an online open tournament. That's kind of exciting. It's good to see this online community making its way into a more community of people interacting with each other in one place for a tournament. Like, that's very sportsy of Nintendo, and I like this idea. I think it's gonna be great. Okay, and here's the big one. Mario Tennis Aces. Now, when we're talking about Mario Tennis, we have a bit of dust to sift through, should I say, because Mario Tennis Ultra Smash for the Wii U, as quite a few fans of the series know, did not fare well. It was not a very well done game. It It had great mechanics, the gameplay was pretty spot on from what I hear, but it was very, very basic. Kind of felt like just a fan servicey sort of thing, like, look, we put Mario Tennis on the Wii U, there's Mega Mushrooms, which I guess is a selling point for some reason, and that was most of it. This game looks like kind of probably what they wanted Mario Tennis Ultra Smash to be. Like, they want it to... they use the word refine a lot. It's very refined gameplay. It's only for the absolute fans of the series. And I can really get behind that because I haven't gotten into Mario Tennis a whole lot, but it looks pretty well done. And I can see it having a lot of versatility for newcomers to the series and people who are like all for it and just want to go all in. Lots of motion controls in this one. The Joy-Cons are really getting a workout with this game, it seems. You can play standard, or because Joy-Cons are essentially Wii remotes with more buttons and smaller size, you can do a lot here. You can actually pretty much mimic tennis moves. Now, I imagine for people coming from Wii Sports, this is going to be confusing, realizing you can do more than just... They're changing up the gameplay, adding to it, really, because it does look very similar to how Ultra Smash played out, but with lots of new mechanics that can all cancel each other out so that it's very fair. I do believe that Aces is trying to make up for that lost ground with all of its new mechanics. I forget all of them here, but there's one where you can actually freeze time and use very precise aim, I imagine with the Joy-Con or the joystick. That looks really cool. I like how there's a gauge for that. You can essentially charge up this gauge by performing trick shots and then use it to give yourself a better idea of where you want to shoot the ball. And this could be very strategic. And with online multiplayer, I can see this going very, very well. There were a couple of interesting character announcements, one being Chain Chomp for some reason. I have no idea to this day, the same day of the Direct, of course, why this was a thing. It's cute, I guess, but it feels kind of shoehorned, like what you do when you need to make a roster in Mario Kart 7 and you remove Waluigi, keep Waluigi's pinball in the game, and then put a honeybee in as a roster character. Hypothetically speaking, of course. I also hear the game is going to have a story mode, so the fact that that's returning, I can see they really want to bring the series back to its roots while also introducing new mechanics that keep it fresh, and that is a great idea. I guess they're trying to make it a redeeming moment for the series, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. I found it interesting about these new costumes, actually. That was one of the things that struck me the most. We kind of had a bit of a role reversal here. You'll notice that in most of the Mario sports games, it's the girls who get their own special outfits or uniforms, and this time Mario, Luigi, Wario, Waluigi get their really fancy tennis garb on, and the girls get shoes.
What are those?
It's a complete reversal of what they seem to usually like to do, so I do like that. It makes a lot more sense than Mario running around in overalls for everything, including the Olympics. So I like where they're going with it. I feel like Super Mario Odyssey was a good prelude to this because they dressed up Mario in just about everything to the point where we can all be used to whatever he puts on now. So I'm looking forward to the new aesthetic changes, the new gameplay changes. Let's see how this turns out. Now, there are a couple of ports that we have to talk about, just a few. We've got Crash Bandicoot coming on the Switch, that I'm looking forward to. I know a lot of people that will be over the moon to see that Crash is getting a main series title on a Nintendo console for the first time. I believe there were a couple of Game Boy Advance games and maybe one or two things for the DS, but that was it, and the Wii got some kind of weird beat-em-up from what I remember, but Crash has never had a main series title that played exactly like the originals on a Nintendo console, so this is news, and I think it'll be fun. I just imagine it'll spike the sales and allow for Crash to keep doing his thing, and hopefully get some brand new adventures in soon. I'm looking forward to. Oh, and yes, who could forget Dark Souls? The narrator for this direct was pretty great. He sounded fine. He sounded like he usually does. But when he got to Dark Souls, he added some edge to his voice that kind of made me want to die. Oh, it was. He said Dark Souls a lot of times in the trailer, and every single time he tried to make it sound like, oh, it's Dark Souls. In the world of Dark Souls, you will learn to live in the dark and turn into a bat. And why I'm using this accent, I do not know. I know nothing about Dark Souls. All I know is that it's hard. But I think that adding this game to the Switch's roster will definitely increase its popularity somehow from what it already is considered to be. So now the Nintendo Switch can be the new Dark Souls. Yay! Okami. You know what's funny? Some Call Me Johnny just played this, and it was interesting hearing the name again for the first time, or 2 times in a month or so. I honestly did not expect this. I can see the Joy-Cons are going to be very useful for the motion controls, which I remember being pretty heavy from what I heard and saw, and I see no harm done in it. It looks fun. South Park, The Fractured But Whole is coming. No honest comment there. I know nothing about the series. Octopath Traveler, have no idea what that is, but it definitely sounds fun. Sushi Striker, The Way of Sushido. Okay, looks like a pretty frantic puzzler that I could maybe sink my teeth into because it is also on the 3DS and Switch. See, they weren't even kidding, man. This console's getting all the attention. Travis Strikes Again. This kind of intrigued me, even though I know nothing about the series, which is apparently No More Heroes. A guy goes into a video game and is sucked into multiple genres, 7 in fact, and that sounds pretty diverse and unique. I like the idea. Probably keep my tabs on it and see what I think. Little Nightmares by Namco, I know nothing about. I'll take a look at it at some point, but I don't know much. Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition. We've known about this for a while, but hey, you know, they mentioned it anyway. Gave it like the honorable mention, like, that's okay, we didn't forget about you, we promise. Undertale. This is interesting to me because the 3DS was possibly going to get a version of Undertale. Supposedly there was some kind of quote from Toby Fox that he could consider making it for the system, although I honestly think that the Wii U probably would have done a better job at it. But that didn't happen, and definitely a Wii U version didn't happen. The Switch is getting Undertale, and I don't have much to say on this. I feel like the game has gotten enough attention that Toby Fox is just kind of going through the motions at this point, but I'm glad that he's still getting some attention to the game. I'm just kind of waiting to see what he does next, and I'm kind of more anticipating that than anything else, but it had its own trailer and a little dialogue with Sans and, what's his name, Bone Trousel? Papyrus, that's what I meant, not Bone Trousel. So that's a thing. Okay, here are the big ones. It's time for the 3DS titles, and I am excited. WarioWare is getting a 3DS title at last. I never thought this would happen. The portable series of WarioWare titles makes up most of the series, but the 3DS never got one up until now, which is apparently coming this year. Over 300 minigames. Are you kidding me? Dude, what is this? This is a big deal because I believe what they're trying to do is basically Mario Party the Top 100, except much, much better. I hear and see a lot of familiar games. I saw a couple originals, I think, and my guess is that they're going to take from all of the games that have ever been in the series, including Smooth Moves for the Wii, which using the gyro could be interesting, but I'm still interested in it, to be honest. The WarioWare series is just so goofy and strangely addictive that you really can't keep away from it very much. It's just kind of always around. Very portable, very easy to go by, very good for quick fun that keeps you into it. And it sounds like this collection, Gold being that, is definitely striving to be the greatest of the series. Kind of like Rhythm Heaven Megamix, honestly, and I can get behind that. 100%. Dylan's Dead Heat Breakers. I don't know much about the Dylan series. I believe I tried it once and didn't really get into it, but I mean, after all this time, we're getting a 3rd entry in the series, I believe. That's pretty neat. I guess I'll give it a look-see sometime and see what I think of it. Got a little spotlight again for Detective Pikachu. And I'm pretty excited for this game. It looks like a very different kind of Pokemon, and I'm very fine with that. It seems like a whole lot of fun. So, I guess I'll give it a shot. Once people stop complaining about Danny DeVito not being the voice actor. Come on, why is that a thing, guys? Just give it a rest. Okay, and there were two more very big ones at the end here. Not quite in this order, but they blew my mind. Luigi's Mansion is going to get a 3DS port, and this is amazing, because I think it's the first GameCube title since Majora's Mask getting a 3DS release. It's being remastered, it's going to use the touchscreen, and I imagine it's going to have the 3D because Dark Moon was able to pull it off just fine. I don't have a GameCube, and I know that I could find a way to play the game, but there's nothing quite like having something on an original Nintendo console, so this port is awesome to me. I cannot believe they're finally remaking Luigi's Mansion. I know a lot of people are complaining that it's not on the Switch, but I'm getting the feeling that we're going to see some more of Luigi on the Switch very soon. I'm just noticing how the trend usually goes. For the GameCube, it was Super Mario Odyssey and Luigi's Mansion. For the 3DS, we had Super Mario 3D Land and Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. Now we have Super Mario Odyssey on the Switch, and I get the feeling that something Luigi-based is going to be coming pretty soon to the Switch. I'm very certain of that at this point, and I'm really looking forward to when it drops. Still, I feel I need to put a little more emphasis. I am very excited to get to play Luigi's Mansion in 3D, assuming that they do that, and I'm pretty sure they will. Saw some gyro in there. It looks like they're going to take the engine from Dark Moon and put it into the original Luigi's Mansion. I'm curious to see how this plays out. I think it'll go pretty well. This excited me more than you would imagine. Okay, and we had one more 3DS title. Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story. Are you kidding me? They skipped Partners in Time, but I'm sure there's a reason for that. We're getting a remake of Bowser's Inside Story. Not much more to say about it, really. I see the graphical updates, basing off of Dream Team. Looks good. I see the updated Giant Bowser boss battles. My only hope is that they don't drag out too much, because I remember in Dream Team, they started to really drag. And they were just like a touchscreen minigame, and it was the only in the series to do so, and now they're bringing that back, so I hope they make it a little more fluid, a little more interesting, a little more rewarding possibly, because there was just something about tilting the 3DS like a book that did not work out for me and I did not like very much. I think this is going to be a good idea, and I'm hoping after this that maybe they give Partners in Time a look and then do another original adventure, because I think these remasters were definitely worth it. But after that, it's definitely time for Alpha Dream to move on, because they can do some really impressive stuff. Okay, we're almost done here. I know I've been talking a lot, but here's the one you've all been waiting for. Super Smash Bros. Switch. Can you believe that the 3DS version of Smash has been out for almost 4 years? That's insane to me. I can't even. The way that this was introduced was so mind-blowingly crazy. I just have to play-by-play it here. We open on a trailer that looks like Splatoon 1's, actually, where they showed off the CGI Kid Squid thing, and I just have to note how beautiful this trailer is. Like, this proves that Nintendo can make a movie without a lot of words and dialogue, and I feel like this is going to contribute very well into the Mario movie and actually gives me some extra hope about it, even though it's completely unrelated. So we have the Inkling Boy and Inkling Girl fighting, and it's a very interesting looking match. Lots of weapons, lots of action, lots of great shots. Somebody really got their movie degree on with this one, because there was lots of great angles and lighting, and I could really appreciate the fast action compiled into a few seconds. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, somebody just does a dip to black transition and goes, and you can just barely see Inkling, who suddenly turns around and has this light in her eye, okay? And it's like this very big fiery light, and at this point I was starting to wonder, wait a minute, are they remaking Splatoon? Are we getting a Splatoon 3D for some reason? Are we getting a definitive edition of the games? This was after all the Splatoon 2 stuff, by the way, so I thought that was completely plausible. But then all of a sudden, this light in Inkling Girl's eye is the Smash Ball, and I lost it. This was such a good trailer, dude. I could not stop freaking out about this. Super Smash Bros. Is about as big as Nintendo itself. It's like a celebration of what makes them so great. They have all of these great characters and great elements, and they can combine them very easily to make something great. Smash has always kind of been that celebration, and I remember when Smash for 3DS and Wii U were first announced, and it was a very big deal, but the amount of excitement that has been building up to this, Game Explain, I remember, had a video just claiming they expected to see a Smash Brothers for Switch pretty soon just because of the timeline in which they were released and stuff. Like, people have been analyzing when we were going to get the Switch version of this game for a while now. Like, ever since the Switch was announced, really. And I remember just recently, the last couple days, people have been saying, no, we're not going to get it. It's not going to be Smash Brothers. Just put that thought away. It's never going to happen. We're going to be waiting a while. No. They showed it off, and it was just a trailer, but it was the most beautiful trailer I have ever seen for a Smash game, and it makes me very excited for how the actual game is going to look, because this is probably going to blow all the others out of the water. And we just had Smash 4, okay? I saw a couple of other changes. Breath of the Wild Link is in this. That was really the only notable design change, but I get the good feeling that Cappy is probably going to replace Flood as Mario's down B. I am just theorizing on that, but I'm pretty certain at this point. Wow, this was a good direct. The ending of it is probably what most surprised me, was that after they showed the symbol, all they needed to do was say Super Smash Brothers and then 2018, and they ended it right there. There were no more words, no more people, just, it was over. That was all they needed. It was like when Metroid Prime 4 was announced and it was just a logo. That's this, but with more action and a whole CGI trailer and the most dramatic Inkling face I've ever seen. But golly, this was amazing. I have never been more surprised by a Nintendo Direct in my life. If you needed proof that Nintendo is very serious about 2018, look no further, because this Direct proves that even 30 minutes of our time are never wasted. Not a single second of this thing was wasted, because they knew what they wanted to talk about, and they made it big every time. They really hit on everything they wanted to. They showed the significance of both their consoles, and the 3DS and the Switch are working together very well. And that excites me further for what's coming next. Metroid, Pokemon, I imagine some other kind of AAA titles I'm not thinking of. Ooh, Donkey Kong, that'd be awesome. But in general, this is my favorite Nintendo Direct ever right now, just because of how much they managed to pack into this very short amount of time. Every announcement was a big announcement, and I could really get behind it. That really wraps up my thoughts on the whole Direct. I was blown away by everything that they were able to show off, and I am really excited for this year. Pretty much everything in this Direct is coming out this year, and that is insane to me. They are running everything out, and they're holding nothing back, and this is very exciting indeed. Thank you everybody for watching. I know that I tend to talk a lot, but I hope that this was a good discussion. And I do want to open up to you guys. I know you've heard this a million times, but please let me know what you thought of this Direct and what else you're excited for, what I might have missed. That's what makes a Discussionator. And I want to make sure that I'm hearing from you guys. I'll definitely be looking at the comments for the next few weeks or so, just to keep the whole thing rolling down there. that about wraps things up here. So thank you everybody for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic day. See you soon. Puns!